Europeans' two biggest worries are active war near the EU's borders and disinformation.
Moldova's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mikhail Popcho, said he has faith in the Trump administration's commitment to peace in Ukraine.
Elon Musk's company SpaceX is now valued at 1.06 trillion euros, narrowing the gap with his car company Tesla.
The latest Eurobarometer survey, which was carried out last autumn, has taken the pulse of what concerns Europeans the most in today's world. The two biggest worries are active wars near the EU's borders and disinformation. The survey was published on Wednesday by the European Parliament. Let's have a closer look. When it comes to security, a majority of Europeans say they are highly worried about active wars near the EU, terrorism, natural disasters worsened by climate change, and cyber attacks from non-EU countries.
What is striking is to see that it's across member states, so that maybe the Nordics or the Eastern countries were the first to flag those security and defense concerns in the past, and now it's very much generalized.
Citizens also expressed very high concern regarding disinformation, hate speech, misleading content created by AI, the protection of data online, and threats to freedom of speech.
We've seen for the last year a bit of attacks on multilateralism, on values, a rise of hate speech or disinformation online. We've seen AI tools more instrumentalized to seek to polarize or to distort a bit the information space. So those threats or those risks are probably very perceived by the citizens.
Europeans want the European Parliament prioritize tackling inflation, followed by job creation and defense. 62% of citizens view their country's EU membership positively, though the public's perception of the European Union has weakened since May 2025. The European Union should appoint a special envoy as part of the ongoing negotiations to end Russia's war in Ukraine, the president of Estonia told Euronews. President Alarkaris also stressed that any communication with Russia should be conducted in consultation with Ukraine. He refrained from giving names, but stressed the chosen envoy should come from a big European country and enjoy credibility on both sides.
The European Union should be involved in these discussions as well. Although we are not fighting with Russia directly, but we have been supporting Ukraine for so many years already and continue to do so. So we should have a say as well. But you see, I mean, again, we are a bit late.
The question of whether to reopen diplomatic channels with Russia, largely closed since February 2022, has surfaced more prominently in recent weeks. France, Italy, Austria, Luxembourg and the Czech Republic have backed the idea of launching direct talks to avoid depending solely on the White House. Germany has dismissed it, citing Putin's bombardment of Ukrainian cities in winter as proof that the Kremlin doesn't want to negotiate.
Spain will ban the use of social media for children under 16, and platforms will be required to implement age verification systems, according to an announcement by Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez.
Today, our children are exposed to a space they were never meant to navigate alone. A space of addiction, abuse, pornography, manipulation, violence. We will no longer accept that.
The government has announced 5 measures targeting digital platforms, including a new bill to hold social media executives responsible for illegal and hateful content.
Bueno, yo creo que tal vez fuese un poco fuerte, tal vez sería bueno tener algunas restricciones para los menores, pero prohibirlos como tal me parece una medida un poco fuerte.
Hubiera sido mejor algún tipo de restricción, no de frente prohibir que hasta los 16 años no puedan tener redes sociales.
A mí me parece bien, creo que no están formados y creo que es una buena medida.
The announcement comes after Australia passed the world's first ban on social media use for children under 16 in December. Other European countries are also considering similar measures, including the United Kingdom and France.
At least 15 people were killed after a Coast Guard vessel collided with a speedboat carrying migrants off the Greek island of Chios. 25 people were rescued, including 11 children. 24 of those were hospitalized, while one woman who was rescued later died. 2 Coast Guard officers were also lightly injured. It is unclear how many people were on the speedboat at the time of the incident, as the search for those missing continued on Wednesday. Details on the circumstances of the collision were also unclear. However, the Coast Guard said in a statement that one of its patrol boats spotted a dinghy travelling to Chios late Tuesday night with its navigation lights off. The patrol boat signalled at the dinghy, but the vessel did not stop and instead changed direction, causing it to collide with the patrol boat. The impact caused the speedboat to capsize and sink. Greece is a key entry point into the European Union for migrants and refugees fleeing from the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Along with other EU countries, Greece recently toughened its stance on migration, which significantly reduced crossing attempts. However, the country has also faced international scrutiny from human rights groups over its handling of illegal immigration.
Elon Musk's company SpaceX is now valuated at 1.06 trillion euros following its merger with artificial intelligence venture xAI, narrowing the gap with his car company Tesla and reshaping the balance of power within Musk's business empire. On paper, Musk now derives more of his wealth from the rocket company than from the electric car maker. The core car business has come under pressure from rising competition in China and Europe, as well as the end of a federal tax credit for electric vehicles in the US. Musk's political activity, including ties to the Trump administration and support for far-right figures and parties in Europe, has also weighed on the brand. By contrast, SpaceX occupies a dominant position in its core markets. The company is the leading provider of orbital launch services with multi-billion-dollar contracts from NASA and the US Department of Defense. For its part, xAI faces regulatory scrutiny in several markets. Authorities in Europe, India, Malaysia and the US have launched investigations into xAI's Grok image generator after it was used to produce explicit deepfake images of women and children.
Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said on Tuesday that he instructed Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi to, quote, pursue fair and equitable negotiations with the U.S. His statement came as Tehran looks to ease tensions with Washington after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to militarily intervene following Iran's deadly crackdown on anti-government protests. The move signals a major shift in Tehran's approach, who for weeks have leveled their own threats against the U.S. and warned against escalations. The White House says it's always open to a deal and would rather a diplomatic outcome, but is prepared for all possibilities.
President Trump is always wanting to pursue diplomacy first, but obviously it takes two to tango. You need a willing partner to achieve diplomacy, and that's something that Special Envoy Witkoff is intent on exploring and discussing. As always, though, of course, the president has a range of options on the table with respect to Iran.
Exact dates and locations have not yet been agreed upon, but talks are expected to take place in the coming days between Iranian officials and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. The development comes despite 2 incidents on Tuesday, which many thought would derail hopes for talks or a peaceful solution. A U.S. Navy fighter jet shot down an Iranian drone it said was approaching its aircraft carrier in the region, while the U.S. accused Tehran of trying to stop a U.S.-flagged ship in the Strait of Hormuz.
Finland is a global leader in icebreaking, in operating and constructing and designing icebreakers, because we are the only country in the whole world where all the ports may freeze.
We will be building 2 ASC That means Arctic security cutters here as soon as we get the negotiations finalized with the US Coast Guard. Presence in Arctic seems to be very important, and we are the fastest shipyard to build that kind of vessels.
The climate is changing, and it's actually exceptionally warm in the Arctic area right now. It is not possible to sail across the Arctic Sea without icebreakers. And many big nations have interests on the Arctic area right now, and that is why icebreakers are very interesting right now.